Some straight white American men in Japan sound really gay. Let me explain. So not all, but many Japanese gay men speak with an effeminate affect. This is a linguistic phenomenon that happens across a lot of cultures. Not all, but many cultures. So you have these straight white American men that go to Japan as part of some teaching exchange program, and they meet a local Japanese woman and they fall in love. They're spending a lot of time with each other, they might even be married, so this straight white American man picks up a lot of the linguistic characteristics of their Japanese female partner. Long story short, you end up with this American man who's saying things in Japanese like, "Oh darling, you mustn't." It's amazing. So yeah, in Japan, when you meet a white American man who sounds gay, you have to wonder to yourself, is he gay or does he have a Japanese wife? To be
I live in Illinois, and this is for sure how I can tell the government's shut down. Oh my gosh, they're talking.
This video is going viral on Twitter right now. This is a principal. He just did a tap of the shoulder tricked the kid. Then now he is embracing him. You may be thinking, what's viral about this? Well, in this next clip, he sits down next to these students and has a lovely conversation with them. People are wondering what exactly was being discussed. Here, he gives the kid a little bit of a ride on a wheelchair. Woo! What's with this principal? What is the common denominator here? High-fiving students, being a good role model, loving every child as if they were his own. What's with that? We need more of this. You may be thinking this video is going to take a dark turn, but look, this principal, lovely guy. This is going freaking viral. This video has 50 million views of just clips from the cameras. This teacher, principal guy, doing a freaking good job, man. Now, when I see this type of thing, this is what I think of. Dear soul, but in an institution, I will say I am not a fan of the modern education system. I do believe it is intentionally flawed. It's supposed to make efficient factory workers. It has nothing to do with making you educated and critical thinking. That doesn't exist. So he's a dear soul in a system, and he's making the best of it, so God bless his soul.
My husband just said he thinks my period might be coming soon. How very weird. He's got no idea when my period's coming.
Do it.
Meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, meow.
What is this guy's problem? I'm bringing my daughter on her first hunt this morning, and this is what she insisted on wearing.
This? What's this?
Zebra?
Giraffe?
Giraffe?
What is this?
Daddy?
What is it?
Daddy? Did you know that in the 1930s, a common side job for tattoo artists and barbers was known as the black eye specialist? Sailors and day laborers would come into town for a tattoo and a haircut because those two businesses would often share a storefront at the time. Then go out for a night of drinking, which would often end with getting into a bar fight. These workers needed a way to conceal their black eyes from their bosses in fear of being seen as a troublemaker and being passed over for a job the next day on the dock. The black eyes made natural process involved placing leeches around the eye to suck out any excess blood, but this didn't always fix the problem, so they would apply makeup to conceal the rest of the swelling around the eye. These workers could then head off to the docks without fear of losing a day's pay, and then wipe the makeup off once they're on the ship. Did you know?
Continue on Puseyville Road for 1 mile.
Don't mind if I do.
Uncle Sam with his finger up his nose. Here shows mother wanted for child abuse. And you can put fill your mother's name in right here.
They're called the Garbage Pail Kids, a parody on Cabbage Patch Dolls, but parents aren't laughing.
He's sitting there with a button in his lap ready to, or he blows his head off, and when it comes off, it looks like the atomic bomb. It looks communistic. It looks like maybe someone is trying to break the American family.
The bubble gum and cards are made by a Pennsylvania company, but they're being sold locally at 7-Eleven stores and Toys R Us. Parents are banding together to get the product off store shelves. The protest is being organized by parents of children who attend the Daybridge Learning Center in Duncanville. Parents who've put their concerns on paper in the form of a petition.
This is a petition that some of the parents have decided that we would like to circulate to try to get the Garbage Patch Kids taken off of the market. They depict violence and destruction of children and by children. It defaces different United States monuments and Uncle Sam.
7-year-old Joe Tucker says the Garbage Pail Kids are popular at his school.
Everybody in my classroom, they've always wanted them.
Duncanville parents will circulate the petition this weekend and take it to local distributors next week. Officials at 7-Eleven and Toys R Us were not available for comment today.
Hello and happy Thursday. Welcome to Creative Chaos, the show that is dedicated to shining the spotlight on fascinating people creating fantastic things outside the mainstream. And my lovely, wonderful, most handsome co-host, the Batman, arrived at the last second with his TV blaring. So I'm hearing it backstage. My ADD got triggered and I'm like, I didn't even know what I just said. But let's bring out the Batman so I can yell at him live. You triggered my... What?
Hey, Christy. Hey, Christy. Hey, Christy.
You like come in at the last second. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what the hell's going on back there?
Yeah, no, I had my, I have my computer logged onto Facebook, and I didn't switch over to, not Facebook, onto pill.net, and I didn't switch over to our show yet because I didn't see it. Pardon me. So I was listening to Matrix Codebreaker in the background there, and then I had the TV on behind me, and they've got some new, I forgot what it was called, Nerd Universe or something?
On Matrix T Codebreaker?
No. On TV behind me. I forgot what it said it was. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can go back to it.
But we're not going to watch TV with you.
It's a series called The Guardians of Justice, and it's a spoof universe. They're calling it a spoof universe.
A spoof?
Oh, bootleg. A bootleg universe.
Okay. Cool.
Bootleg universe.
And that was on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
All right. Well,
So
we all know what the Batman is watching.
yeah, I don't know.
Hello.
I wasn't watching it. I just turned it on as background fodder, but then I had Pilled on, I got you on, I got that on. I got 3 things going at once. And you're the one who couldn't concentrate? Your ADD went off?
Yeah, it absolutely did, you know.
Triggered me.
Well,
Wow.
here's the thing too. I was scrambling for the listen to offstage feeds button to turn it off so I didn't have to hear you. And then you finally got that thing going
I
at
muted it
last
before
minute.
you could. Yes, there you go.
Exactly. All right. Anyway, hey, so tonight we're going to try our best to make this a quick one because our guest works in the morning and would like to go to bed and begrudgingly agreed to be here tonight despite all of that. So, we're gonna hustle through the opening. I actually don't have anything prepared for a Flip City pitch, but everybody that watches Creative Chaos knows that I am connected with the world's greatest satire magazine, Flip City Magazine. We have a campaign going on right now on Fund My Comic. It is our parodies only special edition with our awesome, I think the best cartoonist in the modern world, Ben Sullivan. A ton of his work is showcased in this special edition. Go check that out at fundmycomic.com/flipcity27. And there's 29 days left on that campaign. Yes.
Exactly. I just wanted to ask Cosmic Grandpa. Hey, Cosmic. Thank you. Like, share, subscribe, ring that bell. And if you're on pill.net, hit the red pill for us and show us a little bit of love. And also, Cosmic. Wow, Doc Blaylock's throwing the gauntlet down. Doc Blaylock's throwing the gauntlet down. Wow. Calling Darin a wuss before he even gets on screen. Holy cow.
And thank you so much to Vulcan for also dropping the link in the chat over on our YouTube channel. And Bruce, we did not say hi to the chat. I know Woody M popped in. I believe he's probably over on Madness Entertainment Group watching us live. Thank you, Woody, for being here. And of course, our wonderful mod on the YouTube side, Vulcan Lives, is here. And me and you. You know what was funny? I saw we had 10 viewers when we were doing Doom Scroll. And then as soon as my face popped on, it went down to 5. And then I got sad. They're like, oh no.
Oh no, not her again.
Exactly. Anyway, are you ready to start the show? You ready to bring in our guest?
I wish you would already. I mean, this poor guy's been waiting and he's got to go to bed early tonight, just like me.
Exactly. And I wouldn't mind going to bed early either. So, not that we don't love being here. We love Thursday nights and Creative Chaos, but I think we might all be riding a little low on the sleep. Anyway, so our guest tonight, his name's Darin Wagner. He is the slightly less furry version of his main character in Demifoot, and he's a super fun guy who loves to pontificate. So he will pontificate with us tonight after we see his trailer. So let's watch that and we'll talk to Darin after that.
Sounds good.
I'm sorry, Darin. Normally I would say hi to the guest first, but I'm sorry. Hi, Doc. What's up, Darin?
I approve. Yeah.
Okay, good. He's so mean to
Um,
you, and you continue to be really nice to him usually, from what
sometimes.
I can tell.
Well, the problem is that he's already heard everything. He's heard every old Navy thing that I could say to him. So, yeah, my powers are useless against the man. Can you hear me?
Call him Doc Popeye instead of Blaylock.
No, I don't want to do that. That's. I think when I hear Popeye, I think it's chicken. But
Ah, so are you calling him a chicken now?
yeah, yeah. Doc and I are both Navy veterans, so there is although he did serve in a much like I did in a very different version of the Navy than most other sailors did, because he worked mostly with Marines. So he has a little bit of osmosis with the Marines there. So yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the Popeye thing doesn't really bother any sailor. They're fine with that. You know, it's when but it's not like calling a Marine Gomer Pyle or something like that, right?
Crayon eaters.
Crayon eaters, yes.
Wait, Marines are crown eaters? Or
Yes,
Navy is?
I know
Marines.
Marines are crayon
Marine.
eaters. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't
I
know
thought
where
they
that
were
came from.
jarheads.
They are.
That
They're a whole
too.
bunch of things. They're leathernecks, jarheads. They're all kinds of things.
They've got a ton of different nicknames depending on who you're talking to.
Okay. Well, and you were a submariner.
Yes.
You were under the sea
Yes,
with
I think
Ariel.
Doc has hearing problems. He's saying that my mic is low. Here,
I
I'll move my mic closer for you, old man, so you can hear me. Hey, what is he saying? I can't hear him. It's like
and
it's like Grandpa Simpson when the THX thing came on and it shattered everybody's teeth and everything. He's like, "Turn it up! I can't hear it."
we did love that opening cartoon for THX back in the day. It's like, yay, The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Before, so how long has it been since you've watched The Simpsons? Is it still going, or did they finally end it?
I think it is still going, and honestly, I mean, I don't think the creator is even really all that involved anymore. He probably just signs off on the scripts and signs the checks, or cashes the checks. So
Collects the checks.
collects the
Yeah.
checks. Yeah, I mean, and what fascinates me about Matt Groening's story about how he created The Simpsons was he was actually there to pitch his comic strip. From Hell, I think it was called, or Life in Hell or something. It was about a rabbit that only had one ear. It was, very sad little comic. And he realized like 10 minutes before the meeting, he's in the waiting room, that they're not going to go for this. And so he, on the spot, created this family. And he didn't, think about this. He had all these visual aids with him and examples of Life in Hell or whatever it's called. And then he, on the spot, creates these characters. And Fox was a brand new network at the time, so they really were looking for material to start up with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wasn't his
Well,
first appearance on the Tracy Ullman show?
yeah. That's what they were going to use it for. They were going to do a trial run of it on the Tracy Ullman show, and if it got any kind of response, the first time I saw The Simpsons was actually in the movie theater. It was one New Year's Eve, a bunch of high school buddies and I decided to go see a movie, and the movie ended up being War of the Roses. We thought it was going to be an actual comedy, but it was actually turned out to be a really like a black comedy. We didn't enjoy it, but at the beginning of the movie, there was an animated short of the Simpsons going to see a family counselor, and it was hilarious. We hadn't seen a movie that had a cartoon in front of it in a long time. They'd stopped doing that a long time ago.
yeah, I mean, are you even old enough to have been in that age bracket when they were showing cartoons before movies? Because I have no memory of that.
Once in a while, they would do it. For example, there was a Who Framed Roger Rabbit cartoon that they showed in front of a movie. It might have been Jurassic Park, I don't know, but because both of them were made by Steven Spielberg or produced by him, so they did that. I see what they showed in front of movies when I was a kid was, besides trailers, was music videos. I remember my dad and I going to see Back to the Future in 1985, and they had Mick Jagger and David Bowie singing, dancing in the street, their cover of it, and they're running around singing into each other's faces. Their noses were like,
Yes.
I thought I was gonna walk out. Like, what is this? Shit? But no, he didn't. He stayed in the theater and he ended up enjoying the movie more than I did. But yeah, that's that's. But yeah, I mean, largely you're right. Movies before cartoons before movies was something that had ended as a practice years before I was born. But every once in a while, it came back as a nostalgia bait. There's that.
All right. Makes sense. Hey, Darin, I think you've probably done this before because we've had this segment for a while. But one way that we like to get to know our guests a little bit better is with Bruce's segment. It's called Fanboy for Us, and I know you're a fanboy.
Okay.
So you can repeat your answers, I guess, or Bruce, you can even come up with new fanboy questions on the spot if you want. So I'm going to rearrange us a
I
little
don't
bit
know.
here.
I don't remember Darin doing this.
Okay. Well, let's
So-
get into it, Cause.
All right, Darin. So if you do remember doing this, you can fill me in. But I ask you what
Okay.
your favorite things are, and try not to
Okay.
put a lot of thought into it. Just like first thing that comes to your mind, because that's usually something that triggers you. Pardon me.
All right. Okay.
Your favorite movie.
That changes whenever the wind blows, but
Okay. Right now, what's your
let's see.
favorite?
Right now my favorite movie is probably The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Clint Eastwood fan. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the next question is any genre at all, your favorite artist. Any medium, any genre, your favorite artist.
Oh, except
John
for
Byrne.
music. That comes later.
Oh, that comes later. Okay, John Byrne, the comic book artist, particularly his material pre 1990s.
Yeah, good choice. Nice. All right. Favorite food.
Steak.
Meat and potato man. Love it. Very good. Favorite drink, alcoholic or non-alcoholic?
Or one
Right
of
now it's
both.
Right now it's coffee. As far as alcohol goes, it's a toss up between either an old fashioned or a rusty nail.
And
It has
what
to
do
be
you
with-
put in your old fashioned?
Yeah, it's got to be a Wisconsin old fashioned with brandy.
Ah, see, I use bourbon, usually Bullet or old Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, it's got Wisconsin is where I'm from, so I have to drink that brandy stuff.
Okay.
And
Brandy old fashioned.
I'm just gonna bust in here and say, for anybody that doesn't know, Darin has his own company that makes that stuff, moonshine.
Yeah, yeah. It's a we don't make it, we sell it. But
Oh, you sell it. Okay.
yeah. In Wisconsin, if you sell moonshine or any alcohol, you cannot make it. If you make it, you have to sell it to a distributor. A distributor can only sell it to a retailer. Ever since Prohibition, that's been the structure here in the States. So, yeah.
So are you a distillery or a dispensary, more like a distributor?
A retailer, but we have our own private label, which I think is what Christy was referring to, where we have a private label that's this a moonshine that comes from a distillery in Tennessee. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
What is the name of your moonshine?
Apple Pie, Wisconsin Brothers Apple Pie, and then we've got a new one coming soon that's a cream. So, yeah.
And he's directly across from a Build-A-Bear.
Yeah. Yeah, I showed Christy pictures of the the main floor, and yeah, right across the hall from the mall, and the mall is a Build-A-Bear. So,
That's funny.
so the parents can take their kid over there to build a bear, and then when they're done, they can come over.
Come over and get some booze.
Yeah.
There you go. I like that. I like that. All right. Any genre, any arena, favorite character?
Worf from
Ah.
TNG.
Why Worf?
Because he's the guy who's seen the most growth. We've actually got more of Worf than any other Star Trek character, because he was in all 7 seasons of TNG. He was in 4 of the 7 seasons of Deep Space Nine, and he was in all the TNG movies, plus, the last season of Picard. So I mean, we have seen he got more character development than any character has in Star Trek. He's actually had more screen time. And I love the fact that he started out as just basically an extra in the back who wasn't really supposed to say much, and eventually he got more and more time, and so it's I'm a big fan of Michael Dorn's work as Worf. Very hard to do that with all that with those teeth in there and that thing on his head.
Yeah, they've got that coiffed mane. And the teeth are definitely something to talk about, because you got a whole second set of teeth in there trying to talk and communicate.
Yeah. Yeah, the other actors kept saying he'd never get anything out in the first take because he couldn't get it past those teeth. He always had to do it in this, a couple of takes before he could do every line. And it's funny pointing out, like, in episodes where he's supposed to be eating something where he didn't have the teeth in. You can see, and they try to hide it by putting his hand right over his mouth, like I'm doing right here. He's
Right. So you can't see his real teeth.
Yeah, his real teeth are there.
That's funny. Very cool. Very cool. So, a Cosmic Grandpa must be tickled pink about that, because he's a bit of a Star Trek fan. So, you're in good company.
Okay, I want to know though, and cause you can tell me, but maybe Darin can tell me live. I can respect that choice. Kopla. Is that a
Plot.
reference?
That it means success in Klingon.
Oh.
Yes.
Cause, do you speak Klingon?
I'm sure he's not far off from completing learning it if he already hasn't. Yes. All right. Last and final question, and Christie's favorite. Your favorite band?
Creedence Clearwater Revival.
We haven't had that answer before.
No, we have not. What's your thought process on them? Just curious.
Well, when in the 80s, a very great Christmas we had. Family didn't have a lot of money that year. My dad was a contractor. Work was kind of slow, but I got a Walkman, and the tape that came with the Walkman was Willie and the Poor Boys by the album Willie and the Poor Boys by Creedence Clearwater Revival, and that's my first portable music player. That was the album I had, and it was the only one I had for a few months, and so I knew it backwards and forwards, and it just became their sound reminded me of childhood, when I didn't have a job, didn't have
right
as much responsibility and stuff like that. Plus their songs usually did say something, so that was the band, yeah, that's them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you still listen to them to this day?
They're in my rotation, my music rotation. But I mean, yeah. If I had to name a band that's been my favorite forever, it's been them.
Nice.
I can't. Yeah. So I can't really give anybody else. I used to be. If you'd caught me in the '90s, I probably would have said Alice in Chains. But I listened to them when I was in the service from 1994 to 1999, and about 2 months after I got out of the service, Lane Staley, the one of the voices of that band, essentially was found dead in his apartment from a drug overdose, and that just took me right out of their music. I haven't listened to any Alice in Chains since then. It was a period in my life where that was my favorite band, and then I gradually went back to, so it has to be Creedence at this point, So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Very good.
And
That
that's a touching story as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that concludes Fanboy for us. So
Boom.
I will digress. And yeah, it was a quick one. We got to get Darin out of here. He's got to go to bed.
That's right. He's got to go to bed. Okay, so
I
we're
should
out.
not have told you guys that. I really should have.
Well, you shouldn't have told me this next thing. Something that I
no.
learned about Darin that I thought was absolutely fascinating the other day in a backstage, because we are also on a weekly show every Wednesday morning with the wonderful Doc Blaylock. It's called Doc's Coffee Shop, hosted right here on the Flip City Magazine channel. So check us out on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern if you like to watch live streams and have some laughs. But backstage, you mentioned a thing, Darin, and you can tell me, like, we're not going to talk about this, but your mom called it oozing. And when I think of your character, Demifit, and also that you eat steak or your favorite food is steak, it just triggered the memory of you talking about oozing.
Yes.
Do you want to explain to this audience, like, what our conversation was?
No.
It was so funny.
And curse your eyes for even bringing that up publicly, because that was something I shared.
I didn't know it was in confidence. You said it like you almost said it like you were proud. We will skip over it then.
Blaylock was talking about all kinds of other stuff before then, and all of a sudden, okay, I'm going to contribute to this conversation. I'll tell my thing, and I went out there, and Christy is like, I've never heard of that,
And none of you get to know what we're talking about. So there we go. All right, let's talk about Demifoot instead, because that is really why you came here. You're warming up an audience. You have done a campaign before for Demifoot. In fact, I think last time you were on 9 months ago, our wonderful cause told us that you were here 9 months ago. I think that was also a warm-up appearance. I don't think you've been on while you've had a live campaign.
Yeah, I need to have as much practice as I can get. But yeah, it was the Indiegogo campaign started on Friday the 13th in June, and went for 2 months, and it wasn't as successful as we wanted. Mostly due to my inexperience with crowdfunding and the fact that I only had 2 months to garner interest. Now we got it to about 40% of goal, and it's an $8,000 goal. So we actually, if
it wasn't terrible.
It wasn't terrible in terms of the amount of, another campaign would have made goal with what we were able to earn, but I need, because I'm merely the writer, I have to pay artists for their work, and I have to pay them a really good page rate, especially the one I've got, John Dillard, who is is worth every penny. Yeah,
and he's in high demand.
He's in high demand. Yes.
Yeah, I saw he wrote his name in on the on the truck in the sequence that we showed.
Yeah,
the name of the truck was Dillard.
That was my suggestion. He said, "What do you want me to put in the name?" Because that was based off of a brand of truck. I can't remember what it normally says.
International Harvester.
No, it was Freightliner, I think is what it says in there. And
okay.
And he said, "What do you want me to put in here? A Freightliner?" I'm like, "No, just put your name in there." He's like,
there
"Okay." And I'm like, "That just makes sense, to me to put that in there. It would be pretentious if I told you to put Wagner in there." So, I and you're the guy who drew this, and made this image. You should, if anybody's name goes in there, it should be yours. You can even treat that like your signature, and so that was.
That's great.
I mean, the thing about John Dillard is that if you're talking to him and you want to know what it's like to talk to John Dillard, imagine you're talking to a truck driver. A $5 shower nudie girl happy hour truck driver, right? And he's usually there with a cigarette or something in his mouth, and he's drawing away. it reminds me of how I imagine interacting with Jack Kirby must have been. He was famous for having a cigar in his mouth all the time while he was drawing, and just being one of those kind of guys. So, and I've told this story before, but when we were working on that cover together, because he's one of those artists that actually lets you, if he likes you, lets you in on, see him, watch him while he's drawing, and to be there if he has questions and things. And he said, he asked me what kind of truck he wanted it to be, and I told him international, cab over type, like Optimus Prime, basically. And then I said, you know how to, you must know how to draw the underside of a truck, right? That was the worst thing I said all day, because he proceeded to, for the next 20 minutes, tell me all of the inspections that he had to do before he could take his rig out on the road. And there were a lot. He talked nonstop for 20 minutes. And, that was his way of saying, don't ask me something like that again. It's like, and I'm like, I'm sitting there and he's on minute 12, and I'm just like, I shouldn't have said anything. So.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, you got your answer.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, hey, Darin, since kind of, what you're doing here and also leading up to the campaign, which isn't going to relaunch until next year because we're coming up into the holiday season, and we all know crowdfunding doesn't work so well in these few months coming up. Oh, that's so funny that you brought up your screen, because I told everybody to go check it out. We'll share that in just a moment.
That's okay. It's in hot standby.
We'll share the screen in just a moment. But since you're practicing, I do want to hear your very best elevator pitch for what Demifoot is.
Demifoot is a man-monster superhero comic book. It's in the same vein as some of the stuff that came out in the 60s and 70s, like The Incredible Hulk, Swamp Thing, and Werewolf by Night. But it's also got a lot of more modern stuff in it, like the 1987 film RoboCop. In fact, there was a lot of all those things that went into it. It was born out of my fascination with the concept of Sasquatch and cryptids. The story is about a guy who just gets discharged from the Navy. We meet him as he's coming home from being discharged from the Navy. And he's discharged from the Navy because he got the bends. He was a Navy diver, which is a very special job in the service. It's very physically demanding. You're swimming a lot. These are the kind of guys that go find, hardware of interest on the ocean floor that may have fallen off of a ship. They also do inspections of ships while they're at sea, underwater. And obviously they also do rescue stuff when people fall overboard. The diver is the one that goes in the water and gets the guy and brings him back to the ship. And while he was doing a training exercise, he got the bends. And the bends, for anybody who doesn't know, is basically when you change depth too quickly and nitrogen bubbles form in your body. And in his case, they formed in his major joints and popped them. So now he's got pressure damage to his joints. He can't move without excruciating pain. Couldn't do his job as a diver anymore, so he was medically discharged. And he comes home, and the reader learns, along with him, that his family has actually had dealings with a tribe of Sasquatch in the area for years. And one thing leads to another, and through a misapplication of science, he finds himself a man who now has the physical qualities of a Sasquatch. So he's not quite a Sasquatch. He's not quite human. He's something in between. He's not Bigfoot. He's a Demifoot, in the same way a demigod is both human and God in Greek mythology.
Okay, awesome. So that was a 1,000 floor elevator ride. Hope you all enjoyed it. Darin,
You want more brevity?
Listen, I'm only saying, I love asking people this, especially people, with first campaigns and everything like that, is if somebody is asking you for a brief description, make it brief. which elevator pitches. And I'm not. I just had to say. I just had to say because I'm like, oh, there's key point. There's key point right there. That yes, this take out all of this, Darin.
Take all
Pretty
the
much
other stuff.
everything you said.
All right. I thought we had some more flexible time here.
No, I said elevator pitch, Darin.
I know, but I've never been in an elevator.
Well, because you ooze, right? I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone.
You will
I love
rue
you, Darin.
the day, woman.
I will rue it. Well, here's the thing. Here's the relationship that's developing with me and Darin over on Doc's Coffee Shop, which, by the way, Woody on over on the Madness Entertainment Group YouTube is commenting, loving the show right now, but was super excited to hear that Doc has a weekly show on the Flip City Magazine channel, because he is going to tune in, I think, hopefully next week. But the relationship developing between me and Darin is Darin does try taking the shit out of me, but it seems to just fall a little short. Don't worry, though. We have a mansplain segment coming up. So you have an opportunity here on Creative Chaos as well.
I'm just too Midwest nice. That's the problem.
I think
Midwest
probably.
nice in me. Yeah.
I'm Southern California nice, which isn't nice at all.
Right. I've noticed. Yeah.
Okay, well, you had brought up, and cause I know you were preparing for this, but Darin, you had brought up a screen share because obviously you want to take a look at the campaign. And here's the thing, we, like us in particular, we put our campaigns together so quickly and do a terrible job hyping them and everything that I haven't had experience with how to deal with Fund My Comic. I didn't know they had this option of like putting a link out months and months early for people to go look at your campaign. So let's take a look, cause if we can bring that up, that would be fantastic.
Alrighty. So as you can see at the top, it says campaign is approved but not started yet. Demi Footerburn Sasquatch, part man, part cryptid, all hero. And this, you can peruse the campaign. By the way, right here is the mailing list. So it's in blue. It's right underneath the YouTube video that's embedded. And it took a while for me to get this working because, let's just say it was a learning experience. Fund My Comic doesn't have a built-in mailing list function like Indiegogo does, so it has to sort of be finagled with another site. But we got it working, so if you want to sign up and you haven't, if you already signed up for the Indiegogo campaign from earlier this last year, I still have your email, so I'll include you in the list. So this is pretty much only for people who didn't sign up for that campaign. But,
or sign up again.
Well, you can.
It's a double opt-in.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to sign up again, you certainly may, but you don't have to because I've already got your email address. But anyway, this campaign is, I think, superior to the one we had on Indiegogo. First of all, we do have an entry level digital tier of $8. So if you're only interested in the story, and you just you don't like to clutter your life with comic books, then this is for you.
There are people like that.
Oh yeah.
Or international buyers who want to not have to pay an arm and a leg in shipping.
Right. Or they want to see what the story is, and maybe if it's off, if an issue is offered again, later, they'll buy it then. I've seen people like that. But entry level $15 for the 24-page comic in full color. By the way, a lot of the images that I'm going to show you tonight are black and white, but the comic is in full color. And we have a number, the $20 tier includes the comic book and a jumbo Javelin trading card, which has an image of him ripping the engine out of a AMC Javelin. T-shirt tier, which includes everything you've heard so far, plus the T-shirt. A lunchbox tier, which is my favorite tier because I think there should be more lunchboxes in crowdfunding.
We should bring them back too, as being widely used.
It's a lot like the ones you would have bought when you were a kid if you were growing up in the 80s before they all went to plastic. So this one's metal. The immortalization bundle tiers, if you really want to help us out, you can have your name printed as a premium immortal backer on the back cover of the comic. And then for somebody who really wants to help us out, we'll give you everything that you talked about so far, plus a cameo in the comic. We'll design a character in the comic after you, and you would be either a cop or a bum or a news anchor, that kind of thing.
If somebody really, really wanted to be like a uh, a cryptid themselves, could they pay more money?
If I had the ability to do that, I'd be hoarding that ability all myself, and I wouldn't be giving it. I wouldn't be giving it away for 500 measly bucks. If you're a retailer, we have a retail bundle. It gets you 5 copies of Urban Sasquatch with reduced shipping cost, and also that we have a special collector's bundle where you get 3 copies of the comic, one to read and one to save and keep pristine, and the third one to sell on eBay if you want. But
You know, Darin, since we've scrolled the campaign but haven't looked too much at the artwork, I would love for you in the body of the campaign to scroll to your favorite image that John Dillard has made for you. And Bruce, you need to mute that background noise, please.
well, honestly, my favorite image is probably the cover, but excluding the cover because that's kind of a cheat, I would have to say that I love the 2-page spread here. This image here represents a 2-page spread, where we get our first glimpse of the character stopping an AMC pacer from crashing into him, and saving the lives of these kids by grabbing a hold of it and essentially steadying the car so it doesn't jar, they don't get injured. But as far as the pages we have here, this is another one that I really like because this one shows us what we're doing in the future. This is an homage image, an homage to Incredible Hulk 314, which was a cover by John Byrne, and we have the title character in the center. You get a good look at him here. By the way, in the story, you don't get a good look at his face until the last page or so, but we're revealing what he looks like here because the backers need to know what the character looks like in order to decide to back it. Because the project doesn't exist without them, and so that's why we're showing you this. But this is what the character looks like. What I like about this is this character operates in a fantasy version of Wisconsin, and so he's got a lot of cryptids here behind him that are his foes that are also folklore and cryptid creatures from Wisconsin as well. So starting up at the top, we have the Thunderbird up here. Now this, when I told John Dillard to draw a Thunderbird with a bioelectric effect, he because he's from California in the Southwest, out there a Thunderbird is perceived to be like a pterodactyl, so he drew a pterodactyl. And I said, that's great. Go ahead and do that. It wasn't what I had in mind, but I'm gonna actually incorporate pterodactyls into the Thunderbird story that's coming. Down here, this gentleman down here with the tusks and the horns, that's the Hodag of Rhinelander. Over here, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, or my pointer. On the right hand side, you have the Dogman of Elkhorn, Wisconsin, which is kind of like a werewolf, except a dogman doesn't turn into a human being. It's always this bipedal wolf thing. These eyes in between his legs down here in the dark, that is the Mineral Point vampire. And then we have probably the most elusive cryptid at all, the woman who's interested in him.
As a demifoot?
His basically this. She was wearing like this was in the 80s. You had the half shirts that showed your navel, and then she always was wearing Daisy Dukes. And I remember that jet black straight hair that they had, and that always stuck out in my mind as this exotic, attractive woman. I wasn't quite ready for
willing
women
to
yet at that point.
willing to talk to.
Oh yeah, I was in junior high. She looked like she was probably a senior in high school. So
Okay.
but it always stuck in my head. I'm like, that was a really attractive woman, And so That's where Heidi Blackhawk kind of came from. This image is one that I also like because a lot of people don't know that Sasquatch crawls. They have the ability to crawl because their body strength is so much that they actually kind of can crawl a lot like Spider-Man. Now, he doesn't stick to walls. Obviously, he has to get a grip, and I love the fact that he's digging his fingers into the brick to get a hold.
And that to me makes him look bigger than even him picking up the truck.
Yeah.
Just the way Dillard has drawn that. He looks hulking.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the fact that his palms are touching and his foot over here is touching, but but generally speaking, he's not hugging the wall at all. And you'll see more of that. The character, this character originally was going to be an actual Sasquatch that sort of wanders into a city park and doesn't go away, and was gonna protect anybody who is in the city, but his home base is in the park. And I started writing it, and I'm like, I can't tell the kind of stories I really want to tell with this character. I need to make him a human being. And then I saw a movie, 1957, I believe it was a movie. It was called "I Was a Teenage Werewolf" with Michael Landon. And for those of you who don't know or haven't watched the movie, spoiler alert: Michael Landon turns into a werewolf that has a Letterman's jacket on. So a teenage werewolf, but he's not a supernatural werewolf. He's a product of hypnosis and drugs. So the thing that he turns into looks like a werewolf, but from a folklore werewolf definition kind of thing, he's not actually a werewolf. He just turns into one because of science. And so that was the idea that kind of got me thinking about how to make this character more of a human transformed. And
I do have to just ask you, Darin. Yeah. You're a fan of the 50s where I Was a Teenage Werewolf.
Yeah.
What did you think of the remake with Michael J. Fox, which basically pays homage to Michael Landon?
Hated it.
Hated it.
I hated it because
Okay.
Look, teenage kids aren't going to think a guy who looks like a werewolf is cool because he can play basketball really well. They just aren't. I mean, that's they'll want to get away from him. He's not going to be popular.
Right.
The girls are going to think all that body hair is gross. I mean, it's and so I mean, I know it was supposed to be a comedy, and I do have a sense of humor, but I think that movie was made before Back to the Future, but was released afterwards, and I think they were they probably were emboldened by his success and his stardom from Back to the Future. I suspect they weren't even going to ever release it in theaters. But then after Back to the Future took off, they said, "Hey, let's throw this out here because he's a hot thing now," and it made money. It even spawned a Saturday morning cartoon version.
Right, and then they did the second one
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they did a second one with Justin Bateman.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right. Yeah,
nope, that's all right.
It's Jason Bateman, by the way.
Jason Bateman, yeah.
What did I say?
Justin.
Oh, that's his daughter. That's his sister, Justine.
Justine, yes.
Yes. But here's a better look at that javelin. So this is the art that goes on the jumbo javelin trading card, and this is actually the first image that Dillard ever drew of the character in any kind of action. And I thought this was going to be the cover at first, but I didn't want to cover up the beautiful engine that he drew with the logo. So I decided that would be a better trading card image.
And, that's such a funny decision because there's so many times where we've covered up good art because we have to, you know.
Right. It's frustrating. This page up here, the first page of the comic, which shows you Cooley City, which is loosely based off of the town I grew up in, La Crosse, Wisconsin. The word balloons cover up so many things that we worked on, and different products and parody products like Blue Sturgeon cigarettes and Old Bell Lager and things like that. And it was a shame, but I mean we'll get to put them in there eventually, and then we won't cover them up. But that's one of the frustrating things that can happen sometimes with comic book art. It's a science and it's an art to be able to do that in a way where the eventual captions and word balloons won't cover up the details. And so, I mean, I think we did pretty well here. But yeah, so we'll have other opportunities to show, this fleshed out, lived in world. But yeah.
So I have to ask, because you mentioned a lager out there. Point beer?
I'm afraid not.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
It's in Mike Barron's comic book on the Badger, which I also
Mhm.
believe is based out of Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I've never read the Badger. The comic book shop that we had in my hometown wasn't a very good one. If it wasn't Marvel, DC, or Image,
You weren't
chances are
getting
pretty
it.
good you weren't getting it. No, yeah, I mean, and it was ran by an old man who was forgetful. You'd write down, okay, I'd like, it'd be frustrating because I knew about all these comic books being out there that we couldn't get. Like, for example, he had plenty of posters of Billy Tucci's She in the window of the comic shop, and I said, I'm in, this She thing looks pretty interested. Can you get me a copy of that? And he's like, oh, I don't know. That's kind of hard to come by, And I'm like, well, you got a poster out there. You're advertising it. Well, I needed to put something there, and I that's what I had, and and it's
That's funny. That's funny. So you just needed to fill the window space, and he put
Yeah.
the poster up.
Yeah, the poster came from, I mean, like, comic shops will get free stuff to put up in their store from publishers, if they order stuff.
Diamond Distribution used to give
Yeah,
away
Diamond.
a bunch of old, posters and such. So
yeah,
I
Diamond
remember.
and Capital as well. I think back then it was Capital.
Right, Capital.
Before they went under, because they were out of I think Madison, and they were also the publisher of Badger. But what was weird was he just couldn't. I mean, it was hit or miss. I mean, usually miss, but every once in a while I could get some Dark Horse stuff that I wanted, and but any of that obscure stuff, unless 10 other people wanted it, you weren't getting it. So I have to say I know of Badger, but I've never actually read Badger. So
yeah,
yeah, but
great book.
Yeah. So I've heard. I mean, I'd like to see that. I just to talk about somebody else's work here for a moment. I remember recently Mike Barron was talking about somebody asked him, because he's got this Nexus omnibus coming out. Nexus is the character he created with Steve Rude,
right?
And they asked, "Is a Badger comic coming out?" And he goes, "Well, I don't own Badger, but I could probably talk the owner into letting us publish it, but But he's apparently got no plans for Badger yet. So
that's a shame because I thought Badger was a great book. I would love to see him bring the character back.
Yeah.
I didn't know he didn't own it though.
Yeah, he said that on a King stream recently. Well, yeah, he's launched Bronze Star 2 with Pat Broderick, and it came up in the chat. Somebody paid a super chat, and he had to read it and answer the question. So. And that's what he said. So I was surprised too. I kind of assumed he would, he owned it, but yeah, it's not creator owned. He did that for Capital Comics. So
I thought he created the character, and
he created it for them. It was work for hire, So yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right. Well, very good.
Crazy.
Well, hey, Darin, I think you did a very good job explaining Demifoot and showing off the art. You guys go and sign up to be notified when the campaign launches. But Darin, do you have any other plans for teasing, like with that email list? Are you gonna give people teasers of new artwork that's coming in, anything like that?
Well, we have a planned trading card for the people who back within the first 24 hours, and it is a fairly big name. I don't want to say who it is because they haven't, started working on it yet, but they just agreed to do it. So, just in case something happens, that person gets hit by a runaway bus full of nuns or something. I don't want to disappoint people. So, there's that. And that's going to be a trading card a lot of people are going to want. I think. I definitely want it. So,
Okay. All right. That's a good
yeah,
teaser. That's a good
yeah.
teaser to kind of close out kind of the pitch section, because I have a burning mansplain question for you. But I did want to, I don't know if you saw the chat that popped up. First off, I want to say thank you to Madness Entertainment for rating the Pilled channel with our friend Ghost Pepper. And Ghost Pepper says, he looks a lot like you, Darin. And I know
Yeah.
Ghost Pepper. I've hung out on streams with Ghost Pepper, but I've never seen him.
Oh.
So thank you. I didn't think he'd have a big bushy beard, Ghost Pepper. All right. Well, let's get into the mansplain segment, because I
Okay.
know you're a pontificator and into geek culture. And thank you, Ghost Pepper, for the cookie over on Pilled as well. Let's play that stinger, and you get to mansplain to me very, very soon.
There's something called mansplaining. Have you heard about this?
We know what mansplaining is.
Mansplaining is when a man will condescendingly explain something to a woman that she already knows.
Now, here's the thing with the way I do mansplain. Like, I usually ask questions that I don't already know. Okay, because I want to learn something. And I actually do believe that men explain things very, very, way better than women. I've never been able to get good answers from women. But that's my own misogyny talking, according to my daughter.
Sandry. No, misogyny. You're right. You're right. Misogyny. You're right.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So I know you are a huge Star Trek fan, right?
Yeah, I'm a fan of that show.
Okay. So you can myth bust this if it's incorrect, but from what I understand, like in geek culture, there is kind of like a contention between like Trekkies and Star Wars fans and all that. One, I'd like to know why. And two, it mansplained to me why Star Trek is better, because you've got to be on that side, right?
Yes, I am. And it's, 30 years ago, it would have been a more interesting argument, because Star Wars has really fallen off a cliff, in recent years. But okay, so the first question is, what is the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars fundamentally?
Okay.
Okay, Star Wars is more mainstream. Star Wars has way more fans than Star Trek, because what Star Wars is space fantasy, whereas Star Trek is science fiction. And more specifically, Star Trek is a science fiction naval drama. It's about a ship in a spacefaring navy, usually. And so it has much more structure. It's about human beings from Earth in space in the future, whereas Star Wars is, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and it doesn't tell you how things work, and it has its own version of magic, for example. So it's much more of a space fantasy by definition than Star Wars is. Star Trek is. Star Trek is science fiction based. How is that?
Well,
why is it better?
Well, first you didn't say listen up, toots. So
Oh, am I supposed to do that?
yes. And also I got distracted. I got distracted because Cosmic Grandpa in the chat said Christy has internalized misogyny. And did I say misogyny?
Misogamy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was typing to him. All right.
That's okay. But
so it's a real thing.
It's a real thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
The way it used to be when I was growing up was everybody liked Star Wars. Some people liked Star Trek, and then even fewer people liked Doctor Who, because in the 80s the only place in the United States you could see Doctor Who was on PBS, right? And so you had this inverted pyramid where everybody liked Star Wars, then you get fewer people like Star Trek, and then you had Doctor Who down at the bottom. But at least people
I did not know Doctor Who was bargain basement. Now,
Well,
would that be classified as science fiction, or is that like pure fantasy?
Doctor Who
Doctor
is
Who.
science is pretty much as science fiction as Star Trek is. It's just they do hand waving when it comes to giving you the scientific explanation. The Doctor's vehicle, the TARDIS, is so advanced that they can't tell you exactly how it works.
Okay.
It does have a bit of a it's so advanced it's magic kind of feeling, but it is all science based. And originally the Doctor, when he would travel into the future, he would be teaching, because originally it was supposed to be an educational program. When he traveled into the future, he would teach science to the audience, and then if they traveled into the past, he would teach history to the audience. And they broke that formula fairly quickly once the show launched, because it wasn't doing very well with that formula. And when they brought the Daleks in, that's when it became a hit. But no, the thing was that you had like kids, who were into sports, kickball, hockey, things like that. They would go to see a Star Wars movie, but they wouldn't watch Star Trek on TV, or because it was there's less action in Star Trek. It's more drama. It's more ship to ship combat, it resembles naval battles between sailing ships rather than a fighter squadron attacking and swooping and doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Ooh, well, now I'm assuming you were watching Star Trek in your childhood.
Yes.
Did that inspire you to want to join the Navy?
Some of it did, yeah. Some of it did. And of course, I knew that obviously the Navy wasn't going to be anything like Star Trek. but between Star Trek and The Hunt for October, the movie, that was the thing that kind of got me into it. And so when I watched that movie, for example, there's a character in the movie called Jonesy. He's the sonarman on board the Dallas, USS Dallas. And he was the guy who basically cracked the code on how to track the untrackable Russian submarine, Red October. And here he was, a dungaree wearing enlisted guy. I'm like, I can do that. That is a job I could do. And so when I went into the service, that's what I became.
All right, very good. So do you like Doctor Who? Are you a fan?
I like Doctor Who. I'm more of a fan of the Tom Baker era. Was the era that they always played on PBS. It was weird because for about 10 years here in the United States on Wisconsin's PBS, they only seemed to have the Tom Baker run, which was the longest running Doctor Who at the time. He was on for I think 6 years, and so we would see it start with the previous Doctor, number 3, regenerating into the Tom Baker Doctor. We'd watch all the episodes. He'd regenerate into the 5th Doctor, and then the very next episode they start over with the first one we saw again, and they would just for like 3 or 4 years they would just play the Tom Baker ones. So for a lot of Americans, they didn't know there was any other Doctor, and a lot of them think that Tom Baker was the first Doctor because it's the only one we saw, and it was only the really uber fans who were really into it that knew that no, Tom Baker was the 4th Doctor, and And yeah, so
Now here's my experience with Doctor Who is like I feel like it was a reboot. I don't know if it was, or they brought it back, but with David Tennant.
well, they brought it back with Christopher Eccleston in 2005, and
That's
it was
right.
a
I
it was a
loved him, and I love David Tennant, and like Cosmic Grandpa said here, Matt Smith was the last and best Doctor, and I haven't watched really anything since Matt Smith.
yeah.
Now, do you appreciate those episodes as well?
I enjoyed the revival. That's what it was. It wasn't a reboot. It wasn't a. It was actually a continuation of the original series, just in a different format. And I really enjoyed it, especially when they still used the uh, it had the budget effects, right? So they had episodes that had aliens like the Slovene, and they had one that had a werewolf in it, and it was all CG, and it was all television quality CG, and you could tell it was CG, but you didn't care because everything else about it was so well written that and executed and acted that you didn't mind. You actually kind of found it charming. Oh yeah, look at that! They're being chased by a CG werewolf. It's and it didn't bother you, and that's really hard to do, especially today. To have a show that's so good in everything else it does that you don't mind that the effect is not great.
Yeah.
It doesn't
It's like
hurt the
kitsch
episode.
at that point where it's like
Right.
charming.
Yeah. Now, Eccleston was great. David Tennant's first run as his Doctor was great. And then you had as Cosmic Grandpa mentioned, Matt Smith, and Matt Smith had the unenviable task of following up from David Tennant. David Tennant was the guy who actually made that show an international success. Eccleston did a fine job. He was great, but when David Tennant came on, that's when the show went bananas, and people started tuning in the United States, and that's when the BBC started getting big money for the advertisement, the advertising revenue that the show is generating in the United States. And so that showed when we came to Matt Smith's run on the Doctor. Suddenly, you had the show went to I think full widescreen and had it went into high definition for the first time, and it had movie quality effects. You could tell that they had earned a lot of money under David Tennant. And now they were going to spend it to make the show look great. I wanted to like the guy that came after Matt Smith. Can't remember his name offhand, but Scottish actor.
Was he the one that was like an older Doctor?
He was older.
Peter
Yeah.
Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi, that's his name. Yes, and I wanted to like him, but the writing had deteriorated by that point, and it was formulaic. The issue that I had after a time was that every companion of the Doctor, with the exception of one, that would be Martha Jones, ended up transforming into some superhuman at the end before they left the show. So Billy Piper turned into the Bad Wolf. You had the Donna turned into the Dr. Donna, and then you had even. So I mean, it was starting to become something that was happening to all of them. Clara in the Peter Capaldi run transformed into some kind of weird time traveling entity as well. I think Bill, which is a character I'm not too familiar with in Peter Capaldi's run, also turned into something weird too, and took off to explore the stars. They can't just have the women leave the show and go back to having a normal life anymore, right? Like Sarah Jane Smith, she was just dropped off back, on Earth, and she left the show unceremoniously, and they don't do that anymore. They have to turn the companion into some weird science fiction goddess or something.
Ooh, what a dark spin-off would it be to follow a companion after being dropped off and what they have to deal with after that, going back to normal life? Because that's got to make you a little insane.
Well, that was actually something they did.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In spoiler here, David Tennant's run, the third or fourth episode of his episode, he runs into Sarah Jane Smith again, played by the same actress, who was now a much older, matronly woman, and she became a paranormal investigator after her experiences with the doctor. And
Okay.
and so she figured out how to turn all that weird adventure that she went on into something. And but she even in the episode says that you can't imagine what it was like going back to a mundane life after all that splendor, meaning her adventures with him. And then they in the 70s they actually gave Sarah Jane her own show after she left the Doctor Who series called K9 was the doctor's robot dog, and she was to look after the robot dog, his robot dog, and it was actually a robot dog. It looked like something from Star Wars. It was a dog-shaped, android that hovered on the ground and such. And then the popularity of that episode with David Tennant caused her to spin off into a show called The Sarah Jane Chronicles. So she's been the most successful companion that's had her own story after being on being the Doctor's companion, and she didn't turn into some cosmic entity or
Yeah, she
time
stayed
traveling
a
goddess.
human.
Yeah, she
A
stayed a
human
human.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And
Interesting.
yeah,
I swear, Darin, I swear, like, I really like how you explain things. Like, I often enough, I tune in to a lot of like geek culture things that I'm not that interested in live stream wise, but I want to talk in the chat because I have friends there or if somebody's on a stream. But I swear, Darin, like, you, to me, like, keep my interest. I just got to tell you that. So, the pontificators who you're on all the
yeah.
time, right? You're like a regular panelist.
I'm a
Like, they're
regular.
lucky to have you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yes, they joke around that they're grooming me for streaming.
Well, I mean, the
Yeah,
beard
and
needs something,
they
but
and they love using that word because it has such an ominous connotation these days. But 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 yeah. I know this was. But you asked me about Star Trek versus Star Wars, and we started talking about Doctor Who more. But um, yeah, Star Trek.
mansplain goes where it goes. No, we don't have to go
Yeah.
back. Unless you want to stay later, Darin, it's up to you.
Well, I got a little more time.
All right.
So yeah.
Well, so did you have more to say about Star
Just
Trek versus Star Wars?
Just that Star Trek was created and written initially by World War II vets, right? And it shows on the original Star Trek. The Kirk's Enterprise has a highly disciplined crew, even for a television show of the '60s. And one of the things that has been a huge downgrade as of late, with the secret hideout productions of Star Trek that we've been seeing, is that they don't have anybody writing who understands that Star Trek is ran like a military service, and that there's military bearing, and that there's protocol and etiquette and decorum, and their characters. I mean, why should any member of the crew do anything that the captain tells them to do? They're constantly, grumbling that they're breaking military bearing. They sometimes will. There's a scene that I saw recently where Uhura just blurts out "fire torpedoes," and it's like, no, the captain gives that order. You don't. Now, granted, the captain did then look at the torpedo man and say and nod, right? But no, you would. I mean, if I did that on my submarine,
right?
You realize what would have happened? I mean, the captain wouldn't have had to do anything to me. There would have been a whole infrastructure coming after me. Everything. All the chiefs. What the fuck are you doing? I mean, that's what and you wouldn't even think to do it. But on that show, especially if you are a female, you get to do that stuff to the captain. The captain is kind of like this bumbling TV dad who
Good
just
job.
lets the women run the show.
Good job stopping yourself from saying black.
Well,
and
it isn't
substituting it with a woman.
Well, it isn't just Uhura that does this. Everybody that's a woman tells the captain off all the time, and he just stands there and stoically takes it, and that no, that's not how it works. And another thing about this new Star Trek stuff, they use contemporary, current year language. which is going to date that thing so poorly in 10 years.
Give me an
Whereas,
example if you have one top of mind. I'd love to hear it. I mean, I can make stuff up in my head, like, but I
Right.
don't even want to say it live.
Well, right. Yeah,
I might get myself in trouble.
yeah. Like, for example, on TNG, TNG has aged extremely well because the characters in that show didn't talk like normal people in the 80s. They talked much more, and this was built into the show, and it was something that they insisted upon in all the scripting. They all talked like intellectual supermen, right? You know, and the characters on Strange New Worlds, you could tell. Okay, so the lead head writers of Strange New Worlds, the show that they're most famous for working on before that show was the Gilmore Girls, which was a what do they call that? Um, uh,
A great show to watch with your daughter.
right. I mean, I tried to watch an episode of Gilmore Girls once, and the women were talking so fast that I couldn't, I'm like, I don't want to listen to this. I just hear chatter. It's called mumblecore, is what it's called, where
I
people,
never.
it's like you're talking to yourself in front of somebody else. It's like you're talking to somebody, but you're talking as if we kind of muttering to ourselves. That's how they communicated, and that's what a lot of the characters do on that show. Um, and there was an episode recently where they had to wire the Enterprise because there was an alien. I can't remember the exact plot, but basically there was a problem where an alien presence was interfering with all radio transmissions. So they had to wire the Enterprise. Well, the Enterprise should already have been wired, because if it wasn't wired, Uhura's console wouldn't be a console built into the bulkhead. She would have been doing her job from a tablet, right? So it was just an excuse to have everybody on the bridge using old style telephones, antique telephones that one of the characters in the show just happened to have in her quarters. And it was dumb. It was, the Star Trek used to be a show that was usually kind of smart, smart enough. Now it's not. It's actually mind-numbingly dumb.
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
When you went to watch this, as Cosmic Grandpa branded it earlier, New Trek,
Yeah.
did you do it with hope? I'm sure you knew there were things being, a lot of shit was being talked about it. Did you go in with an open mind, or knew you were going to hate it? And how much time did you give it?
Well, you could tell by the trailers it wasn't, because the thing is, Strange New Worlds and Star Trek Discovery initially are supposed to take place about 10 years before the events of Kirk and Spock on the Enterprise, right? And
Okay.
Star Trek fans already know what that era looked like because it was depicted in the original series in flashbacks and episodes like The Cage and The Menagerie. And so we already knew what the uniforms should look like. We already knew what the technology should look like. And the thing that is frustrating with Secret Hideout was they felt no desire to make their show visually adhere to established continuity. It would be like if I decided to make a movie set during the Korean War and I wanted to put laser sights on all the rifles because they look cool.
Right.
Well, they had no laser sights in Korea. That would be violating, historically that would be inaccurate. But of course they looked at, well, this is all fiction anyway, so who cares? Well, we care. It's established.
And well, also, I mean, it's not like these people, well, maybe these people they hired to do it, I don't know. To me, it seems like an intentional slap in the face to swaths of people who give a shit. I don't know if you feel that same way.
Well, yeah, I have more money to spend on the things that I love now in my life than I ever had before. Certainly more than I had when I was a kid or a teenager. And now that I'm at that stage, they don't want to entertain me anymore. It's weird. It's like, okay, go after those kids that don't have any money then. And the show is the problem. I mentioned continuity, right? Forget about continuity between Secret Hideout Star Trek and everything that came before it. There's a lack of continuity on the show just between their own episodes and in their own episodes. That was
I mean, it's all DEI hiring, right? I mean, that's
right.
the main
Yeah.
explanation, wouldn't it be?
Yeah. It's meant, the show it's almost like it was made for people who weren't actually watching it. It's made for people who are looking at their phones and having it on in the background. Because they pull so many continuity fast ones in there. I think in Star Trek Discovery's first season, one of the big issues is that the Klingons have cloaking devices. Oh shit, we all know that they have them. But it was treated like a brand new thing in Discovery, like because their Klingons look different and talk different and everything anyway. So it was it was its own thing. But even within the continuity of their own show, one of the characters on the show says, sir, we're tracking the heat signature of a cloaked Klingon ship entering Pavel's orbit. Pavel was a name of a planet. And they say, okay, great, thank you, keep us up to date. Wait a minute, that guy just said he was tracking a cloaked Klingon ship on long range sensors. One of the big subplots is they were trying to figure out how to penetrate the cloaking device and see the ship so they weren't invisible anymore. That guy just cracked the code and you totally ignored him. Because I'm a sonarman from a submarine. If you are tracking the heat signature of a cloaked ship, you are tracking a cloaked ship, right? That would be like the captain wanting to find out how we can track a Soviet submarine or a Russian submarine. And I say, well, I'm tracking it. I can see where it's going by its coolant pump or its lube oil pump. And the captain be like, but we still have to figure out how to track it. No, I am tracking it. That was one of the most frustrating things about that show. I just about threw something at the TV because I'm like, how did that make it past? Somebody wrote that line down, and it had to be seen by at least 4 other people before they committed it to film. And then after it got filmed, somebody must have seen it. How did that slip by?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you know this. I would be surprised if you didn't. It literally is how these writers are commanded to write, I guess, by executives, is for exactly what you had said earlier, for people that are not paying attention. They're scrolling their phones. Right. Like, that is what entertainment is now.
Yeah. Yeah, because Star Trek used to demand your attention, especially the old show. The old show was 10 minutes longer or 5 minutes longer than the TNG episodes. A lot of people don't know this, that the original Star Trek episodes were about 55 minutes long. But then because they have more, in the 80s, they had more commercial breaks per hour. The TNG episodes were 44 minutes long. So they're a little bit shorter. But yet you had to pay attention. You couldn't just leave the room for a while and then come back and know what was happening without somebody telling you, who might have been watching it with you. But these shows are designed for people who just have it in the background and they get the idea and they look up for some bright lights and special effects and they look.
Yeah. I have a final question just to close out the mansplain segment.
Yep.
Do you feel like, with this, with basically how writing is going for the people scrolling their phones, is there any hope for good storytelling in mainstream entertainment, things that are supposed to be like episodic shows? Is there space for that?
Well, there are shows still being made that are good. They're just not the shows that they're just not Star Trek or any other kind of show right now. I mean, I've heard great things about this show on Apple TV called Severance, and that apparently has some writers that I like. I've been a huge fan of shows like Mad Men, Breaking Bad, and Better Call Saul, and Better Call Saul ended not too long ago. So I mean, there are well-written shows out there. They're usually not science fiction anymore, though. They're just dramas, and yeah, it's like Secret Hideout thought, well, what's the big deal? We just throw a Star Trek coat of paint on it, throw some special effects on there, and that's all we need to do. And it's like, well, no, I mean, Star Trek was always a low budget production that had huge, big budget expectations. And so, that's why the show has always relied on stock footage of the ship, to save money. We didn't care, especially when the show was on weekly and you had to wait a week for the next episode. We didn't mind that the opening credits lasted 2 minutes and that we same flybys of the ships would be used. We just didn't care because it had been a week since we saw it. It becomes more that thing becomes a little bit more noticeable when you binge watch it, like which people are able to do now. Binge watch a show. The I think that they're phoning it in. I think that Alex Kurtzman's Secret Hideout has been phoning it in. They've been purposefully trying not to satisfy the existing Star Trek fans, but they've been trying to cultivate new ones at the expense of those older fans. And the kids aren't watching this. In fact, kids, I'm surprised at this. They like watching old shows. I mean, kids are going to my TV and watching Columbo, and
right,
and they're watching the Donna Reed show, and the Dick Van Dyke show, and I Dream of Jeannie and the Munsters and things, because they've figured out. They go on the internet and they get exposed to all kinds of bullshit, right? And pornography and all that kind of stuff. They recognize that TV shows made in a certain era, the 60s through the 90s, don't have a lot of that in there, especially the further back you go. And so they look at it like a respite from that stuff, So they, the ones who, and if you, and it's like, well, I need to watch this and pay attention, so I'm putting my phone down. It's got my attention now, and they can pause it, obviously, if they get a phone call or a text they have to respond to.
So maybe there is hope.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but an executive has to look at that, figure it out, and act accordingly. Another thing, it's interesting when it came to Secret Hideout's merch. Right, one of the reasons why Secret Hideout didn't use existing ship designs in Star Trek, they created their own shitty designs, was because they had to have their own designs so that they could make money off the merchandise. But guess what? It's models of the original Enterprise and the TNG Enterprise that everybody wants. It's not the models of their shitty ships that they designed recently. And I shouldn't say shitty, but they're not pretty. I don't want to see. This is where I get kind of sensitive to it, because actually a lot of good work has gone into Secret Hideout Star Trek in terms of the special effects and everything. The special effects on those shows are consistently better than any special effects we've ever had in any Star Trek show from the previous eras. The problem is everything else about the show is terrible. And so it's like putting like lipstick on a pig, or whatever the expression is. You're polishing a turd, and that's about the only reason why I will watch it, is just to see the Pike's version of the Enterprise, which looks enough like an Enterprise that I buy it, and see what kind of beauty shots they come up with it. It's worth it to look at for that reason. I already subscribed to Paramount Plus for the old Star Trek stuff, because I always like to go back and rewatch them all the time, and I might as well watch the new stuff if it's there, if it's any good. But it's like I'll watch a season of Strange New Worlds once and then never look at it again. Whereas I've watched seasons of Deep Space Nine, each season I've probably watched at least 4 or 5 times in my lifetime now.
Yeah, very, very good. So are you saying Deep Space Nine is the very best Star Trek out there?
I can't say that. I can say that it's my favorite. It's my favorite because it was different than the other shows in that it took place essentially in a town in space, right? And it felt like a duty. It was a duty station, but
You said duty.
yeah, I said duty. About half the cast were Starfleet characters. Normally, in a Star Trek show, most of the characters are members of the Starfleet, right? So they all wear the same uniforms, things like that. They might have one character who's not in Starfleet, like the Doctor on Enterprise, or Neelix on Voyager or something like that. But on Deep Space Nine, only about half the main cast were Starfleet. The other half were civilians and people who belonged to other uniformed services. And that interaction between those Starfleet and those civilians and things like that was what makes that fascinating to me. And it felt like, yes, this is how you do it. You have a show that shows a totally different part of Starfleet that we always knew existed, because every once in a while an Enterprise would dock at a space station and then leave. And what if the show, Deep Space Nine's crowning moment in their pilot was they show the Enterprise leaving Deep Space Nine, but the camera stays on the station while the Enterprise. We're used to seeing the Enterprise following the Enterprise with the camera as it leaves a station, and they focus on the station. So yeah, I can't tell you what the best one is, but I can tell you my favorite is Deep Space Nine.
Very good. And Darin, we have reached the point in which this mansplain segment has made my eyes glass over. So we do need to move on. I do love, though, that all the men in the chat are like, they're like kind of cheering you on. Like, yeah, Deep Space Nine is my favorite, Vulcan says. And Gray Cloudy Day says Voyager was also good, Pops, because they were talking over on the Madness Entertainment Group. But I'm done with mansplain. You've sufficiently, like more than sufficiently, like very in-depth explained Star Trek. And Star Wars can go suck one, right? Right, Darin?
Yeah.
Okay,
the only
stop.
thing I
We're going into we're gonna go into conspiracy corner because Darin,
Okay.
you were the one that told me you need to
Yes.
get going tonight. And my favorite segment is conspiracy corner. And I know you're a little bit of a conspiracy theorist yourself. We're done with mansplaining, but you're probably gonna mansplain conspiracy anyway. So
Okay.
let's get into conspiracy corner and we will see you on the other side.
Okay.
I wanna live with a conspiracy girl. I could be prepping the rest of my life with a conspiracy girl.
Those aren't aliens.
Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel.
All right, you guys. Here we go. Here we go. We are now in conspiracy corner. This is where things get wild. We've got a whole wheel and all that kind of stuff. All right. So I've got my tinfoil hat on. That means the YouTube censors. No, it's satire. We're not serious, you guys. I got a tinfoil hat on.
That's not actually tinfoil. It's aluminum foil. So you're cooked.
Darin, we left mansplain. How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah.
All right. So let's just bring the wheel up. I'm going to explain it to Darin. I think he knows how it works, but it seems to me he's been such a popular guy these days that he forgets other streams he's been on and how they work.
Yeah.
All right, so Darin, here's the wheel. It's been updated since 9 months ago. It's got all these topics on it. But here's how the wheel works. So you get to spin it, and you get to spin it up to 3 times. You can choose to stick with topic 1 or topic 2. But if you want to spin it a 3rd time, you're taking your own freaking life in your hands, bro. because you have to talk on that third topic no matter what it is. But Darin, because you're such a pontificator, I think you can talk on any topic on this wheel.
Okay. All
Do you
right. So I press
understand how it
control and it.
works?
Yeah.
No,
It
you
looks like
don't.
it's.
No, you don't actually get to spin it. Don't be crazy.
Oh, somebody else
Like
gets.
it, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're not in like Star Trek technology yet, where you can actually click on the wheel. Jeez.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. All right.
All
All
right.
right.
So are you? But are you ready to tell Cause to spin the wheel?
Spin away.
All right, do it.
Yeah.
Ooh, transhumanism.
Well, there's two schools of transhumanism. The first is where you combine humans with technology. That's what Elon Musk wants to do. He wants to have a chip that you can put in your head so you can access, information directly into your brain. That's one
And stop.
aspect. Go
Do
ahead.
you want to stick with the topic?
Yes, I'm going with that.
All right, cool. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right.
Go on.
Okay, so the first one was what I mentioned. Elon Musk's the version of transhumanism is combining human with machine. There are others, however, and this is more into the conspiracy theory, cryptid kind of world that want to combine human biology with animal, and that's where chimeras come into play. So the idea of giving somebody the ability to breathe underwater by putting. Oop,
Bruce?
oh, somebody's watching the news.
Bruce, are you watching another thing and unmuted?
Poor Bruce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
it stopped.
Right.
It stopped.
Not me. I don't own a television, so. But okay. So, let's say you needed somebody to be able to breathe underwater, right?
Yes.
There are some creatures that actually do inhale water into their lungs, and their lungs are able to diffuse the oxygen from the water, and such. I think it's called lamella. It is an oxygen diffusing membrane, right? But human beings don't have that. So bioengineer somebody to grow lamella in their lungs so they can go ahead and breathe underwater. Now, even if you could do that, there isn't enough O2 in water to sustain the human brain, but that was just an example, right? Trying to use animal information to, edit the human genome so you can get a certain kind of person that you want, right? And yeah, so I know quite a bit about transhumanism, I guess, from the research for Demifoot. So there's that.
I was just going to say, like his character.
Yeah.
I was also going to say, I'm confused. Is this a real thing that's happening right now?
Well, I mean, I speak of it like it's real because but it is a conspiracy theory. There, the existence of chimeras, giving the characteristics of one animal to another, and maybe even human beings, is something that we've known about for a while. I mean, the Japanese have apparently perfected a method that causes a human being to grow another set of permanent teeth, for example.
My husband's been waiting for that.
Yeah. So I mean, there's real world, applications for it that are benign, but then there's also the horror movie stuff that you can easily run into. So, yeah.
I mean, I think of it like the woman in The Shape of Water, right? She's mute. She doesn't talk.
Right.
That was the creature from the Black Lagoon rehash, and yet she winds up. Turns out she's actually got gills.
Right. Yeah. There's a conspiracy theory that there is an underground facility somewhere near the Four Corners region, Nevada, Arizona, that where they create human hybrids with animals, and that every once in a while they got to let them out so that they can get some exercise, and it's healthy for them to go out. And that's where when people say they see things like a dog man or something else, that's where they're coming from. The idea that they're man-made. Of course, that doesn't explain cryptid sightings going back hundreds of years, but it's one possible theory as to what people are seeing. So
Well, let me ask you this. As far as like where you're at in your thinking, do you think this is something that is actually happening, like as far as government research and, you know, implement implementation?
yeah, well, I mean, we know that that this research is going on. I mean, it was publicly made, known years ago. Um, and politicians were talking about it, but they stopped talking about it publicly. They don't, or at least if they are talking about it, they're not, being shown on TV and in the media anymore talking about it. But and the ethics behind doing that. Um, but we know that there's that kind of research going on. Like I mentioned, the whole Japanese teeth thing. That was in headlines, and it's not. It may not be a chimera situation, but they're tinkering with the human genome, and transhumanism is all about creating new humans that are different than the ones we have right now, and so that's a pretty broad topic, but yeah.
Yeah, well, and that is the thing. I do like to try to make the wheel as broad topic as possible. What you just spoke of was nothing like I thought any guest would bring up.
Oh, yeah?
Because I am thinking more the Elon Musk chip in head
Yeah,
type of thing.
yeah, yeah.
But this is like
There's
like true biological tinkering.
yeah, yeah,
Wasn't the jab bioengineering?
yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of people they were talking about that when the jab was a hot topic,
Yep.
and the footage of people who got the jab and then they were holding pieces of metal up to their arm and it was sticking to their arm like there was a magnetic presence there and things like that. And that even made it on Kimmel, videos of people doing that. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, it was out there
What
and
did
then it
Kimmel
went,
have to say about it? Do you I
well,
don't know.
well, what was weird about that was that he didn't say it wasn't happening, but he still played it for a laugh. And so the implication was this was all a joke being perpetrated by people online. But he didn't come out and say that. He just laughed at it and then moved on. And it's one of those things now. So I mean, and I think that was one of the reasons why he did that was for sort of legal reasons. What if that vaccine actually did do something like that, and that was an actual side effect? Then he could say that he doesn't dare say that this isn't happening, this isn't wrong, because he could get in trouble for misinformation and all that kind of stuff, and so he didn't outright say anything. So if you got the transcript of the video, he would deliver his lines and look at the camera like, this is crazy, but I'm saying it anyway, and
Maybe that's where the most creative writing is happening, is in late night TV commentary after they consult legal.
I don't know. I don't think it's very smart TV anymore either. I mean, but
I'm sorry you didn't understand my joke, Darin.
I'm sorry. Yeah, like remember, it's getting late. I'm gonna start getting punchy here pretty quick. So, but we'll continue.
Yeah, no. Actually, I think we've done a very good job in Conspiracy Corner. Like I said, you were branded within the last 9 months, and here's the thing, Darin. Mwah. You are still Flip City branded. It don't matter. But here's the thing. We are on episode 96 right now of Creative Chaos. What we're doing for the 100th episode celebration is having a FAFO party. We're kind of keeping the Creative Chaos format, but going to have a panel of guests on. You guys out there in chat, get super excited about this, because I swear to God, the Flip City FAFO parties are the best freaking parties because we do spin the conspiracy wheel with a panel. We also do live reads of Flip City content, but I'm thinking we might go a little more conspiracy heavy. But Darin, if you come to that party, I am choosing one of I think are 3 or 4 different Star Trek things that we can live read with a panel. It's going to be a freaking blast, I guarantee you. So you're invited back to that, and we'll also make the Star Trek live read earlier.
Okay.
Earlier in the FAFO party so you can participate.
That sounds like a dangerously good time, a FAFO party.
We FAFO. We just FAFO.
We FAFO. Gotcha.
All right. So, Darin, we're going to close it out for tonight. So, tell everybody what you want them to do.
I would like you to go to Fund My Comic. You can use your search engine and find it, or if somebody puts a link in the chat, that's great. Go to Fund My Comic and search for Demifoot, DEMI-FOOT, and you will see the campaign for Demifoot Urban Sasquatch. Underneath the embedded YouTube video is a blue link that says Join Mailing List. Please sign up for this mailing list because I will be putting out more information about this as we get closer to launch and after launch. And it doesn't cost anything to sign up. We're just asking you to let us keep you informed.
Yeah, indeed. And I see Bruce is distracted as always, so I'll go before him. No, it doesn't matter.
Thank you.
It does.
I was
trying
to pull it up.
I did. By the way, Darin, drop the link in the chat, and it's also, of course, in the description of the video. Because guess what? I care about creative chaos. I've seen like Doc Blaylock. I'm gonna talk shit on him because I know he's asleep now. He does a terrible job in his descriptions of his videos. If I have a guest on, which I do every single week here on Creative Chaos, I put in the link that I think is best, or I will ask the person ahead of time. I'm not an asshole. I'm so sorry. You guys, I love you. Thank you, chat. So I dropped it in the chat right now, but it's also in the description of the video. And for anybody that happens to be seeing Creative Chaos on the Madness Entertainment group on Roku, and you're seeing the fun we're having with chat and seeing me wave hello to people as I bring up chats, you can join us live every single week on the Flip City Magazine YouTube channel or the Madness Entertainment Group YouTube channel and be part of the fun every single week. And then rewatch it on YouTube and see your chat pop up. We'd love to have you. But as far as Flip City Magazine goes, we are a comic satire magazine in the tradition of Mad and Cracked, but made for modern day. So we will definitely offend you. So check us out at flipcitymag.com or check out our live campaign for our Parodies Only special edition live exclusively on Fund My Comic at fundmycomic.com/flipcity27. And that's how you do it. Your turn, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Christy. So, for anybody who cares, check us out. 3 Beermen, that's Cosmic Grandpa, myself, and our good buddy Norm, where we talk about pop culture, technology, and beer. And we have a lot of fun. It's usually Sunday nights, 7 p.m. Big Apple time, 4 o'clock avocado time, and we have a lot of fun with it. So come check us out. You don't need to drink alcohol to join us. You just have to get a drink.
Oh, yes, you do.
No, we don't promote alcoholism here. Now, come on.
But it helps.
It definitely helps. It definitely helps. So,
especially with your show.
I was pulling up the GoFundMe, Fund My Comic. There we go.
There we go.
So,
thank you.
I'm gonna check that out. Thank you. Yeah. So check us out. And before you leave the show, Cosmic, run that one more time. Remember, you guys, you got to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and pin that red pill. Thank you, Cosmac. All
Also,
right, Christy.
major shout out to pill.net, my favorite alternative streaming platform. They are the independent streaming platform. If you do not want to be censored while streaming, go check out pilled.net. Love those guys. All right, Darin, and also Super Duper, thank you for filling in tonight. I really realized at the very last minute, I actually double booked. I double booked tonight, and I chose you, brother.
Oh, okay. Who was the other guy? Doc?
No. No. It was somebody I'd never met before. And
Okay.
here's the other thing. I really do love having I understand why people get into cliques and just kind of run in a little circle. It makes life easy.
Right.
I don't want that for creative chaos. I really do want to meet new people and talk about their projects and things like that. So, to the person that I accidentally double booked, we'll see you next week, you guys. If you want to know what's happening with Creative Chaos, follow at Kitty Flip City over on X. And it's been so wonderful, Darin. I don't get to really interface like this when we do hang out, and I really appreciate
Right.
you very much. And then this is where we wave bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, class. List everything insensitive, exclusionary, bigoted, nationalistic, misogynistic, and offensive that you can find in history's great myths and legends. Extra points for suffering panic attacks or emotional outbursts. Fact check every opinion against the lived experience of your comrades and allies, so you can avoid forming a criminal opinion. Scrutinize it cover to cover. Wrongthink, misgendering, dead naming, misinformation, microaggressions. Leave no page unturned.